This is Boris Johnson, and it appears that he really struggled during the pandemic to understand what was going on.
PM is clearly bamboozled. He holds it in his head for a session, and then it goes. But it's all the same stuff he was shown 6 hours ago.
In today's video, we're looking at the COVID inquiry and Patrick Vallance, one of the head scientific advisors during COVID, go into detail about the uselessness of Boris Johnson, but I'll also be adding a few clips, just showing how this is a repeated pattern and that no one should ever vote this buffoon back into office.
Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings were extremely keen to get scientific advice. So they had I would say, a disproportionate interest in getting science advice. But as you can see, it wasn't always easy to provide it in a way that was understood and actionable by the Prime Minister.
And to be honest, once you go through all the quotes inside Vallance's book, you start to think to yourself, this is like something out of Father Ted, and I'll show a clip later to illustrate.
So this is an entry on the 4th of May, and by this stage you are making the notes daily, is that right?
Yes.
You say, late afternoon meeting with the PM on schools. My God, this is complicated. Models will not provide the answer. PM is clearly bamboozled. Page 53, please. PM asking whether we've overdone it on the lethality of this disease. He swings between optimism and pessimism, and then this. PM still confused on different types of test. He holds it in his head for a session, and then it goes.
Okay, one last time. These are small, but the ones out there are far away.
Page 93, please. Watching PM get his head round stats is awful. He finds relative and absolute risk almost impossible to understand. Page 124. PM struggled with whole concept of doubling times, just couldn't get it. And then just two more, please. Page 167. This is from later in the year, September. Claire Gardner going through the talked PM through the graphs. It's difficult. He asks questions like, which line is the dark red one? Is he colourblind? Then, so you think positivity has gone up overnight? Oh, and oh God, bloody hell. But it's all the same stuff he was shown 6 hours ago.
Tell you what, sir, from now on you'll be Homer Thompson at Terror Lake. Let's just practice a bit, When I say, hello, Mr. Thompson, you'll say, hi.
Check.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. Remember now, your name is Homer Thompson.
I got you.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. Oh, now, when I say hello, Mr. Thompson, and press down on your foot, you smile and nod.
No problem.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
I think he's talking to you.
PM dashboard, is that a reference to a meeting, dashboard meeting?
Yes.
Taken through the graphs, real struggle to get him to understand them. And so the question then, Mr. Patrick, is those paragraphs of your statement that we looked at, yes, you talk about sometimes needing to repeat things and needing to explain things in detail. Help us and tell us if this is an example of passages that you no longer want to support. But the message that we get from these repeated entries appears to describe something, at least as far as the Prime Minister is concerned, more serious, a repeated failure to understand graphs, scientific concepts and so on, forgetting things that had been explained to him only a few hours earlier repeatedly. Was there a more serious problem with him than that which you describe in the witness statement?
What I hope people are starting to see is that this affable character is also just totally incompetent. And to be honest, it's quite scary. In fact, it will get a bit scarier when we listen to the rest of what Vallance has to say. But Boris has deliberately created a character that seems to be relatable and isn't standoffish and can be connected to with the public. And he takes advantage of any situation like the one in front of you. But there is a calculation behind it. Have a listen to this.
It is often useful to give the slight impression that you are deliberately pretending not to know what is going on, Because the reality may be that you don't know what is going on, but people won't be able to tell the difference.
And this isn't the first time we've seen it. In fact, as Foreign Secretary, he did a number of gaffes. Have a listen to this one, when an expert has to explain to him what he's doing is really wrong.
Barrels, they say.
We got 1 barrel.
Come you back, you English soldier.
It is over there.
You remember that? On mic. Yeah.
The ambassador is quick to spot that reminding their hosts of British rule might not be wise.
So probably not. What, the Rage Mandalay? No, not appropriate.
Is it good stuff to remind people that they've been subjugated by Britain for over 100 years? But it's also that arrogance towards that expertise they seem to downplay so casually, and frankly doesn't seem to care less. But we also know that he's got a reputation as a liar and as a racist.
Well, I think I'm right in saying that the Prime Minister at the time gave up science when he was 15. And I think he'd be the first to admit it wasn't his forte, and that he did struggle with some of the concepts, and we did need to repeat them often. I would also say that a meeting that sticks in my mind was with fellow science advisors from across Europe, when one of them, and I won't say which country, declared that the leader of that country had enormous problems with exponential curves, and the entire phone call burst into laughter because it was true in every country. So I do not think that there was necessarily a unique inability to grasp some of these concepts with the Prime Minister at the time, but it was hard work sometimes to try and make sure that he had understood what a particular graph or piece of data was saying. And I'd learned from a number of meetings, including around climate, where there were certain things that would catch his eye and would work for him, and other things that wouldn't work for him. So there were ways of presenting the data that allowed him to get better access than others.
Mr. Johnson, it hardly needs saying, was the man who was making decisions that had incredibly broad impacts on the whole country. And it was critical, was it not, that he did understand the advice that he was being given?
Yes.
Now, to be fair to Johnson and to all these other politicians that are clearly being recognised as inept when it comes to science, it's quite important to take on board the fact that some things are going to be brand new and they are going to be hard concepts. But it's just the continual line of criticism that Valence puts into his diary that seems to give off the impression it's not just the lack of understanding, it's just the lack of ability.
PM is clearly bamboozled. He holds it in his head for a session and then it goes. But it's all the same stuff he was shown 6 hours ago.
Am I being mean, or am I just seeing him for what he actually is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And is Father Ted and Homer Simpson an appropriate comparison? Probably not. At least they're a bit nice. Once again, thanks to all my supporters who keep this channel going and growing. And to the rest of you, if you'd like to help the channel, just click that link and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.